No, thank you so much, Josue, for that introduction. And it really is a pleasure to be here today in front of all of you. And really, congratulations. I mean, this is such a huge step. You have no idea how many people you're helping to move forward simply by you being here today. And it does make me a little bit emotional just being here, because I remember my time period being part of the Latino Greek life and being part of Sigma Lambda Beta. For me, when I joined the fraternity, it was a time period where I was looking for camaraderie. I was looking to get involved. And in doing so, I was able to become a much better version of myself. For some of you, you might end up being somebody's maybe maid of honor or maybe their best man, okay? And so this is a family. This truly is a family. And what I can tell you is that after today, this does not stop if you allow these relationships to continue, okay? Allow this network to continue because you are going to need it. My best friends are my fraternity brothers. They really are. But I've made an effort to be there. I made an effort to make those phone calls, attend those special events, right? And one thing that you'll notice as well is that after you graduate, there's not this division between the person who is part of this fraternity or this sorority or this sorority. You have to support each other. Why? Because your cultural heritage binds you together. It really does. When I started working at Dell, which was my first job out of college, there was a gentleman from Omega Delta Phi, there was a lady from Sigma Lambda Gamma, and believe me, we got together and we helped to support each other. You know, I would ask them, hey, can you listen to my presentation? I listened to theirs, and we supported each other. And so you must continue to do that if you want to be successful. Use this as a cohesive unit to be successful. So I want to provide 3 lessons. These 3 lessons, let's just say that I wish that somebody would have told me this earlier in my life. But it's okay, because that's what life is about, and you are going to learn many lessons. Some lessons of which you'll be standing here maybe 10, 20 years from now sharing with everybody else. But these 3 lessons really had a huge influence in my life. And we'll start with lesson number 1. Lesson number 1 is never, ever let somebody else's negative opinion of you become the way that you see yourself, okay? There are going to be people that will have opinions of you, and guess what? They are entitled to their opinion. But if you stay true to how you feel about yourself, then you're going to find success. Otherwise, they're going to bring you down. But guess what? You're allowing them to bring you down. I want to share a story with you that's really personal, and it's about my grandmother. And I always get a little emotional talking about this because I didn't have to go through what she did, but she was able to do so, and she was able to find success doing so. And so let me share with you a little bit about her story. My grandmother in the 1920s, when her parents went to enroll her in the local elementary school, she was denied access. And she was denied access because of the color of her skin. But guess what? My great-grandfather, her father, decided, you know what? I do not want my daughter thinking that she is not deserving of an education. And so he decided to start a school for all of the Hispanic kids that had been denied access. And guess what this did for her? She grew up feeling that she was deserving of success, deserving of an education, that there was nothing wrong with her, that she was enough. And guess what? When the time came, and as part of her destiny, she graduated from high school, she graduated from college, and then she became an elementary school teacher where she taught in a predominantly Latino neighborhood in Corpus Christi for 37 years. And she gave that back. So what could have been taken away from her was not. And in her mind, she knew that she was deserving of everything that belonged to her. In turn, my dad took that same energy, and guess what? He was a professor at the University of Houston. He has retired since then, but he also taught for 37 years, Mexican-American studies. And so you see, the changes that you make now not only have the ability to impact your success, but they have the ability to impact generations to come. Because I want you to think about, maybe in the city next door to Del Rio, Texas, where my grandmother was from, those kids, they didn't go to another school. How do you think that they developed in their mind? Do you think that in present day, maybe their children or their grandchildren might still think that they are not deserving of an education or not deserving of greatness or of success? In many cases, that is the case. And so I congratulate you because you being here today, you graduating, you being Latino, is a way to show others that, you know what, they are deserving of that as well. And so remember, people may say negative things about you. You have to discount it and know what it is that you have within. Here's lesson number 2. Always honor your authenticity. Always honor your authenticity. So this is what happens. You get into a space, which some of you may, where you might be the only Latino in the room, the only Latino on the 45th floor of that skyscraper that you're working in, and nobody looks like you. And then guess what? You start to hide aspects of yourself. That was my story. When I started to work for Bank of America, I was the only Latino on that 45th floor. And I thought to myself, as I was walking to my desk was at the very end, I'm here walking. And by the time I got to the end, I realized, oh my gosh, nobody looks like me over here. Nobody. But guess what? If you do not own your authenticity, you will start to change who it is that you are. And I'm going to tell you something. The more that you change who you are, the permission you give to other people to change the authenticity that represents who they are as well. You see, so it's not just about you. It's about you influencing other people as well. There's a really cool story that completely changed my life many years ago when I read it. It comes from the book Chicken Soup for the Soul by Jack Canfield, and it's called The Golden Buddha. I'm going to share the story with you. So there's this monastery in Thailand, and the monastery has to be moved, which basically meant that all the artifacts needed to be moved. One of those artifacts was a humongous clay statue of Buddha. As it was being moved, it started to rain, so the monks went ahead and they covered the clay Buddha with a tarp to protect it from being ruined. But something interesting happened that night. The head monk shined his flashlight at all the different artifacts, including the large clay statue of Buddha, and there was all this golden specks shimmering from the statue. And so he thought, what is this? What is this shining from the statue? So he fetched a chisel and he started to kind of chip away at the clay where he was seeing these golden specks. And then lo and behold, guess what? He realized this statue was never made out of clay. It was made out of gold. It was covered in clay. And so historians believe that maybe hundreds of years prior, that maybe the statue was covered up in clay to protect it from being stolen from an enemy. And then the secret was kept intact until that very day. Here's the thing. What I love about this story is that it's a metaphor for all of us. For all of us. We are going to go through life where we're going to hear lies about ourselves. There's going to be other people's expectations of who we should be. We're going to hear things on TV, the radio, on social media, and we're going to start covering aspects of ourselves. We're going to start covering our golden essence with this metaphorical mud. You're going to realize that the more that you can look within yourself and acknowledge what is already inside, the more successful that you're going to be. Because remember this, the only way, and I mean it, that you will be able to inspire anybody else is by you being you. It's the only way. And then finally, lesson number 3. If you want to be successful, you have to prioritize self-care, your well-being. I didn't do that. I did not do that. Why? Because I had pressure to be this and be successful and do this and do this and do this, and I felt like I was lifting up so many people that were behind me, that it was my responsibility to do so. But you will realize that if you do not take the time to every now and then put yourself first, you're going to find yourself last. Now, as a Latino community, we're known to be giving individuals, and we give a lot, and we lift people up, and we should. But I'm telling you that when you start working and you have a family, it's going to be really easy to put yourself last. And so let's take a look at a cup, and we'll use it as a metaphor. What is in that cup? That's what belongs to you. What spills out of that cup, that is the only thing you have to give to everybody else. because if you don't do that, you're going to be left feeling completely drained. In some cases, mentally exhausted. In some cases, physically sick. And many people make themselves physically sick and mentally exhausted to the point of having to take medication because they failed to prioritize themselves first. And so again, as a Latino community, I think we're more at risk because we give so much. And we have this pressure of making sure that our younger siblings are looking up to us. But if you do not take the time to prioritize self-care, whether it's by taking breaks, whether it's by taking the time to breathe, whether it's saying no, somebody will come up to you and say, hey, can you volunteer for this? Every now and then there will be a time where you will have to simply say no. So remember this, what pours out of your cup is your gift to the world. But what is in the cup is your gift to yourself. Don't forget that. So in conclusion here, leverage this network of beautiful people. Leverage this network. When you start working, you never know. You never know who you're going to call. I can tell you, I reached out to somebody last week who I hadn't talked to in 20 years. And I asked her, hey, can you introduce me to this person at your company? I've been wanting to talk at this company for a really long time. And she said, absolutely. And we're meeting up next week for a virtual coffee. That was 20 years ago. We haven't talked since then. But that's what it's all about. Okay? Remember also, never let anybody's negative opinion of you become the way that you feel about yourself. Okay? Never let anybody's negative opinion about you or of your Latino culture. Okay? Or of your Latino culture, realize that the values that you have gained from your Latino culture represents your strengths. And your Latinidad is your superpower. It is the reason why a company is going to hire you, because they want your perspective. So own your power. Own your power. Do not give it away. Remember, don't forget about my grandmother's story. Use it as a reminder of what can happen when you choose to believe in yourself. Okay? And be authentic to yourself as well. When you walk into the room, inspire people through your presence. And then finally, just remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And so continue to lift others up, continue to inspire others, talk to others about college, the importance of college, share your experiences, but you cannot pour from an empty cup. So make that time for self-care. Okay? And so with that said, I want to congratulate all of you. Congratulations on being here today. This was not easy. This is an incredibly challenging university, but equally as rewarding. So go out there, use your talents, use your skills, use your stories. And remember, adelante, siempre adelante. Thank you.